Hello, good evening to you, everyone, and good evening to every one of you who's watching us right here all across the world and here on TV3. My name is Alfred Okansi, and welcome to Time with the Captains. I want to hear you put your hands together right now. Right. Okay. Absolutely. This audience is an amazing audience from the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA Business School. They're amazing so far. We've been interacting for quite a while now, and they are going to be with us throughout the period, together with you out there who is watching us. You can connect with us at various social media platforms as we go on. Tonight, our captain is a young man who is doing amazingly well in the industry that he finds himself in. And that's why we describe him as a captain for the evening. I'm going to go for this quick break. When I come back, I'll unveil our captain for this month. Do stay. Wow, this is amazing. It's a very enthusiastic audience we have here tonight from the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA Business School. They're full of entrepreneurial ideas, and this evening they're upbeat and ready to connect with our captain for this month. Let's take a brief profile of our captain for today, and then we'll get into the conversation right now. This is our captain for this month. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Apollonia City, Ghana. Bright is a finance professional with extensive experience in real estate financing, private equity, and investment banking. Prior to his current position, he was the Chief Finance Officer at the Ghana for Rendezvous, Apollonia City's owner and developer. As CEO, Bright leads the team in Ghana to transform the ambitious vision into what is becoming a world-class mixed-use urban development here in Ghana. Bright has also worked as a senior analyst at Blackstar Advisors, a boutique private equity company with a focus on the SME sector in Ghana, and as a research and corporate finance analyst with SDC Brokerage Services Limited. He is an alumnus of the Harvard Business School's Real Estate Management Program and the University of Lincoln, UK, where he obtained a master's degree in finance. Bright was recently awarded for his commitment to business growth and professional excellence in real estate and development at the Ghana 40 Under 40 Awards. The award was to honor and celebrate a cross-section of Ghana's most influential and accomplished young business leaders under the age of 40. Okay, so that's our captain's brief profile. There's a lot to his name, but we just give you this brief. And our captain for tonight is Bright Owusu Amofa, CEO of Apollonia City, Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, Bright, it's good to have you. Welcome. Fantastic. Wow. It's an honor to meet you, finally. All I hear about Apollonia is you building some affordable housing and getting to the housing industry. Apart from that, what do you like? Which team do you support in Ghana before you go to the English Premiership?
Sure, thank you very much, Alfred. Permit me to say a very good evening to distinguished student from GIMPA. It's an honor to be here in front of you to share my story. I'm hoping that at the end of the day, you may be able to pick one or two lessons from some of the experiences that I have, some of the mistakes that I have made, and hopefully the objective of this program is to impart knowledge and to inspire some of you here. So back to your question, I am an Arsenal supporter, and I do believe it's actually contributed to, if I may,
that's a very odd team to support.
My career. If you must be very resilient to support Arsenal.
Absolutely.
You must be used to disappointment.
All what Arsene Wenger is doing, you still support Arsenal?
You must be a die-hard fan, and I'm used to disappointment.
How is that possible?
If you look at the team, every Arsenal supporter will tell you football is not just about winning cups. At least that's what we tell ourselves, to be honest with you. But it's about, I like the philosophy of the team. we like to pick.
You balance your books.
We nurture, we balance our books. The objective of business is to create value for shareholders, which we are doing very well. We pick talents, we nurture talents, and sometimes we sell them on too, and they do bigger things. But you know, I just like the way the team plays. And
maybe because Arsene Wenger is a finance person and you're a finance person as well, not a coach. Possibly. Maybe that's why you like him.
He has diverse skills, I would say.
Absolutely.
You
know. But the more we hear about you, it's a lot more about what you do. And one of the reasons why we brought you here is to unmask you and put you out there in a naked business-wise. Okay, so who is Bright? How did you start? Where were you born? I mean, what kind of food did you used to eat when you were growing up? Did you ever eat lactogene?
I'm sure I did, like everybody else. I probably don't remember at the time when I was eating lactogene, but my favorite food is jollof, if I may put that out there. I was born in Tema, 1982, a couple of years, so I've just given my age away. I grew up in Tema. My parents are Ashantis. My mom comes from the Obuasi area. My dad is from the Mampo, Dadiasi area. But I've always grown up in Tema. I currently live in Accra, but I still see myself as a Tema boy. You know, once Tema, always a Tema person. I went to Infant Spim School, studied science. That's always been a science student.
How many of you went to Infant Spim here?
I was hoping there were some members in the crowd.
Don't worry.
But, so, proud Infant Spim School, Battle and from there, I went to KNUST, where I read my first degree in physics. I've always liked science and math. That's also been my background. After KNUST, I moved to the UK. I've got family there. And I mean, also at a point in time where I was, you know, trying to figure out what I really wanted to do with my life. So I moved to the UK. I was there for 4 years altogether. But after the first year, when I first went to the UK, I lived with, as I said, family. And I was used to, most of them used to work in Asda's and the Tesco's. You know, there were a few people that were doing cleaning and whatnot. But when I said to myself, you know what, I mean, why would I go to school, study, you know, have an undergrad, and then come to the UK and be doing this type of job?
So not to
say that, you know, the menial jobs, but I thought that I could always do better.
Yeah, I thought I could do better. I mean, you hear such stories of people, I mean, graduating from the university, going there and cleaning. Some of us used to go there during long vacations to brush the teeth of horses and, you know, do all of that for £5 every 3 hours.
Yeah, so, I mean, I wanted to break that status quo. I thought, again, based on what we'd studied and the background that we had, there's a lot more that I could do. There's a lot more that I could do. Just focus a little bit. You know, so one day I saw an ad in the newspapers. It was Barclays, and they were recruiting. So this is me, physics grad from Ghana, and I applied. And I went in there.
And this is in the UK?
This is in the UK. My first job, actually. I'd never worked before. So I applied for the job, and I went in there. I had an interview. At least I thought it went well. And then the interviewer asked me a question that have I worked towards targets before? You know, so I mean, typical Ghanaian, I'd never done it. So I said, well, no, I haven't. So I think that was a point where I didn't get that opportunity. So, I mean, after the interview, it went very well, but nice lady said...
That question about whether you've worked towards...
In an environment where I've worked towards targets. Specific targets.
So what does this mean, just for the students who are here? If we say, have you ever worked towards targets, what kind of answer was the interviewer expecting from you?
Exactly. So I'm coming to that. So after that, I went home, and then the next day, I went back. Fortunately for me, it was a different person. And guess what? They asked me the same question. Because going back home, I was thinking, well, yes, I haven't worked in a formal environment towards targets, but I was a student. As students, we're always given targets. You know, you have assignments, you have to get to...
You can pick.
All right. You have assignments. You know, we have... I've just finished a dissertation I had to do a presentation. So in our daily lives, we always work towards targets. It's just that I wasn't, expecting that question. I wasn't prepared for that question. But when I went the second time, this time around, I was prepared. Unfortunately for me, the gentleman asked me that same question. We worked towards targets before. So, I just started flowing.
That one, you had gone through.
I had gone through it before. So this time I was prepared. Exactly. So the point I'm trying to make here is that it's always good to prepare. I wasn't prepared then. So after that, I got the job. And when I came back home, everybody was surprised because these are people all around me who are cleaners, who are working in shops. And at the time, if you work in Asda on the till, like what we have here in ShopRite, it was like a top job, for Ghanaians. So they couldn't understand how coming from Ghana with no experience in the UK, I got a job with Barclays. So I worked for about a year. And then when I was working in Barclays, that was when, again, like I said, I studied physics. I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do in the future. But I know that what undergrad does is that it prepares you, for the future. And it was a very tall building. Most of us I was an accounts manager. So let's say accounts managers and junior analysts were on in the first, second floor. The very senior people were on the top floor. And they used to come in, you see the cars you drive, you look at the shoes they wear, it looked like the kind of life.
You aspire to be
exactly.
Like
so I thought to myself, one day I want to climb up, and not be on the first and second floor, but I want to go on the 7th, 8th floor. So what then do I need to do? So I started looking around. I realized I liked finance. And so I decided to go take a course and do a master's in finance. At the time, I thought, do I do an MBA, or an MSc? But because of my background, I'd never done business in my life. I thought the MSc route was the best route. So that's what I did. And then, so long story short, after that, I wanted a career in finance, I wanted a career in investment banking. But this was somewhere in 2009, 2010, when there was the first financial crisis. And so most investment banks, Lehman Brothers had just collapsed.
Absolutely.
They were not recruiting, so I decided to come back home.
What I'm saying is this. At what point did you answer the question of what you wanted to do? Because you said earlier on that at the point you didn't know what you wanted to do and you were studying physics. Now you're getting into business. When did you answer that critical question of this is what I want to do?
I guess I'm always asking myself that question. But for me, I think life and career is always a journey. 10 years, what you wanted to do 10 years ago might be completely different from what I want to do in 10 years from now. But as I said, this was when I was at Barclaycard. I was inspired by the lifestyle of the people I worked with, the lifestyle of people that were upstairs. So I said to myself, this is something I wanted to do at least over the next 10 to 20 years.
So the people around you inspired you to grow yourself.
Yes.
Fantastic. So at this point, I'm going to come to the audience now. You've heard a lot. And some of you I know did come here with your own questions. So you lift your hand, you mention your name, and you shoot your question. I'll take the first 5%. Okay. So, yes. The microphone will be passed to you. Kindly help me do that. Okay. Thank you very much.
My name is Atu Jantrot, and I want to find out, pertaining your background and all in physics and how you are into real estate, what is the future of real estate in Ghana? And do you think it's a very good venture to actually be in, as at this time, in Ghana? Thank you very much.
Okay. We can take the questions one-on-one. So just
right. So I think there were 2 questions in one. First question, physics. Physics, I think, was a very good preparation. So again, my advice to all students would be that your first degree is it really just prepares you. It allows you to, to be able to analyze, to be able to think on your feet, and to be able to work in a structured environment. And that's what physics really did for me. To be honest, I haven't really applied a lot of the technical things that I studied, but it's always made me analytical, and I always question. It makes me always want to question things in terms of why is this way and why is it not that way. To your second question, real estate, I think it's a fantastic industry. It's, as you can see, if you look at, I always look at the current housing deficit in Ghana. We always say it's about 1.7, estimated to grow to about 2 million, by the end of 2018. So people will always want shelter in real estate. It's a very good industry. Apart from that, it also an industry which sort of brings various other industries together. A house is something that everybody aspires to own at some point in the future. So it's a very unique, or it's a very important asset that people aspire towards. And so for me, it means that there will always be that sort of demand. When the economy is doing very well, when people make money, the very first thing that they do is typically to buy property. You don't make a lot of money when the money is just kept in the bank, right? So, and then apart from that, it's for those of us in the industry, particularly working for a company like Apollonia City, which is a multinational. For our investors, real estate is always a hedge against inflation. So usually when the economy is not doing very well and when there's hyperinflation, real estate helps. It's a hedge against inflation, and so investors like to put their money in real estate. It's a very long term. It's also very long term. Now I enjoy it because, I mean, compared to investment banking, which is what I used to do previously, we used to advise companies, put together, for instance, if two companies want to merge, or if a company wants to acquire another company, it's quite interesting how, you put together the whole transaction. But then compared to real estate, it's tangible. And if I speak about Apollonia City, I mean, I joined at a time when it was complete bush. And I have seen it transform from, I mean, you were there 2 weeks ago, transform from bush to what it is today. So it's tangible, and it's something that I feel very proud about it. And you can always point to that to great-great-great-grandchildren to say, this is a project that you did.
So
exactly.
At what point did the real estate dream come to pass? Because all you've told us is you're doing finance.
Yeah.
At what point did you get into building houses for people to buy?
Well, and it wasn't really planned, if I may put it that way. So when I joined, if you look at my career, my background, when I came back, I worked for a company called Renaissance Group. It was an investment bank. So at the time, Renaissance was doing investment banking in Ghana, the buying and selling of shares, advisory work. But I think our shareholders realized that it wasn't, investment banking was not doing too well. So the group decided that they were going to venture into real estate. Basically invest some of the profits that they make into long-term projects. So it wasn't necessarily my idea. It was a directive from our shareholders, and we just more or less told the line. Yeah.
And that is what got you into building.
That's what got me into real estate. But again, because of I was always prepared. It's no different from. Once you're prepared, irrespective of the industry you want to find yourself in, it's almost the same thing. You just learn on the job. So preparation is important.
It is important. So that no matter the opportunity that comes away, so long as you're prepared for it, even though you're being trained as a real estate person, you were prepared for the opportunity and you took it. Yes.
Yeah. Good evening.
Yes.
My name is Raphael Agbenyo. I would like to know, moving from the physics to finance, what was your greatest challenge? Because I know it's not easy from that field. Thank you very much.
Okay, so you want to know, moving from physics to finance, how easy or otherwise it was? Okay.
I think it was very easy. If you've studied physics or any of those science courses, they are very difficult courses. If I remember some of the modules I used to take, quantum mechanics, thermodynamics, if you compare them to finance, it's almost like, So again, and most of the things were quite actually applicable, because there's quite a bit of math in finance. So it was very applicable, and I had done advanced form of those math. So, for me, finance was almost
I think you're mentioning is a disincentive to a lot of them.
No, it's not. No, it's not. So to answer your question, it wasn't a difficult switch at all. A lot of the things were applicable. Again, once you are determined and you set your mind to something, I believe you can always, it's just a matter of, again, working hard and studying hard. And by the grace of God, I'm sure you should be able to make it.
Determination, working hard, studying hard, preparation.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're taking the keywords as we go on. Any more? I see many hands. Yes.
Okay, my name is Rachel Bamfo. I want to know who or what motivated you to be who you are today?
Who or what motivated you to be who you are today? In fact, and who you want to be, because from the look of things, you're still young.
Still quite young, yes. That's a very good question. I think I would say it's my dad. My dad really motivated me. My dad was somebody who believed in education, and he, he's the sort of person that, would put his last CD into financing your education insofar as, he felt that it was going to help you to, to develop or to study. I mean, if you go ask him for clothes or shoes, he might say he doesn't have it. But if it's anything to do with education, my dad was always the sort of person that will help. In terms of, but I think I'm also the sort of person who really, I motivate myself a lot. I really, in as much as I have people that I look up to, I'm the sort of person who always motivates myself. People who know me think that I don't worry about anything, but that's not true. You hardly see me worrying about things. I quickly move on. I wake up in the morning, irrespective of the challenge ahead. I just say to myself, I'm glad that I have life. Once you have life, I think that there's always a solution to a problem once you set your mind to it. So I motivate myself a lot. I read a lot. I go on YouTube. People that I look up to, I watch their videos.
Who are some of these people, if you can share with us?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Steve Jobs is a very interesting character. Somebody that I admire a lot. I watch a lot of his videos. I think he's done, what he's done with Apple. It's phenomenal. It's something that I really admire, and it inspires me. And then, I mean, interestingly, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is also somebody that I admire. I think that, for what he did as a black man, in that time, there are a lot of people who probably would have felt that, within that era, he probably wouldn't be able to achieve some of the things that he did. So these are things that inspire me. Again, to the point I made about going to Barclays and taking that interview, I don't let things limit me,
Right.
irrespective of my color or my background or my degree or height. I just go for it. Yeah.
Irrespective of your height and size, just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
He is self-motivated, and then also he believes that anything you put your mind to, you can achieve. I want us to focus on the keywords while we go on so that we don't miss out on it. Who has the microphone? Right.
I'm AC Derek, please. I know real estate is of huge capital investment and long term. On average, how long will it take to build Apollonia City? Thank you.
Right. Yeah, very good question. So maybe perhaps opportunity for me to tell you a bit about Apollonia City for the benefit of those of you who don't know about the project. It's so we call it, it's a latest city in town. It sits on 2,300 acres of land. So I always try to compare it, to bring it home, I compare it to Tema. It's about half the size of Tema. So for us, there's no comparison. Sometimes people fail to get the scale of what we're trying to do. So we're building an entire new city from scratch. From it was a greenfield, it was complete bush, as I said, when we acquired the site. Specifically to your question, it will take about 15 years if we are being objective, possibly even 20, depending on how well the economy does and how well we're able to ride these cycles. Real estate has very strong correlation with how well an economy performs. As I said, people will typically make such significant investments if the economy is doing well, if they first fed themselves and they've bought clothes and they've paid their utilities and bills. Then they start to think about, where do I put the money I have saved? So it's a very long-term project. It's not a housing project. It's, as I said, a complete new city where we're going to have up to 25,000 residential units, a shopping center, recreational areas, a CBD, a new CBD, an industrial park, and leisure facilities as well, like an amusement park.
Okay, the last question, and we'll go for a break and come back. Yes.
My name is Hayat, and then my question is that did it get to a time that you wanted to give up, or you thought things were getting out of hand?
Okay.
Well, I think that as human beings, we all have moments where we are down and we feel like giving up. But as I said, I'm somebody who by God's grace, I really motivate myself, irrespective of whatever I'm going through. As I said, once I wake up and I have life, I just look forward. I really don't look back. There hasn't been a time when I actually felt like giving up at all. If anything, I'm always trying to. People think I should slow down, right? I'm always sort of
so that act of self-motivation,
yeah.
How do you do it? Because there are people here who probably get to that tipping point of wanting to give up. So how do you motivate yourself? It may not work for every one of us, but still give us an idea.
Actually, I'll tell you how it happened. I think that maybe as much as I like to take credit for it, it's a situation that I found myself into that's really sort of built me up. And so, again, so when I finished KNUST and I went back to the UK, because I'd always lived with family. And so after school, when I moved back, I used to travel back and forth when I was in tech, but after school, when I moved back, and I was living with a family. And if you've stayed in the UK before, or if you stayed abroad before, nobody wants you to be a burden. It's quite a difficult environment. So when you're in school, people can accommodate you, but once you've finished, the question is, okay, so you're back, what are you doing? Absolutely. So it got to a point where I had to, and for the first time in my life, I had to, and this was after Kenya, I can't remember how old I was, very, 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 still quite young. But I had to move out on my own with, fair enough, I had just found a job, but I didn't have any money. I'd never lived on my own before. So, and when you live in a country like that, where if you know that you have to wake up and you have to buy food, you have to pay bills, you have to generate enough money to, transport you, even to take you to your office, you start to motivate yourself. It really gets you thinking, right? Because, it's not like, in Ghana, we're very fortunate that we have very good family system. So very often, people sometimes fall into the danger of relying too much on family. But if you're on your own, and I always encourage people to do that. When people want to travel, I always encourage people to travel. Because that's only when you really start to know yourself and you really start to motivate yourself. As I said, when you wake, nobody will tell you to wake up. It's winter. You have to wake up at 5 a.m. to catch a bus.
He is the CEO of Apollonia City, Bright Owusu Amofa. Please put your hands together for him. Right. We're going to go for a quick break. When we do come back, the questions still continues from our audience. This is Time with the Captains. We'll be back shortly. Do stay. Wow, amazing. And this is the atmosphere we've been enjoying all the while in the midst of the principles and the nuggets that Mr. Bright Owusu Amofa, who's the CEO of Apollonia City, our captain for this month, has been sharing with us. Welcome back from that break. We still have the audience from the Gimpa Business School. Amazing audience. And we're going to go back to them again for some more questions. Who has the microphone? Okay. Yeah, the microphone has been at this side for quite a while. Please.
Okay, I'm Felix, finance student. Actually, I had this intention of also going to the financial investment banking. But after listening to you for a while now, I'm totally disorder. The order should still continue, or
you are confused.
I'm confused.
Oh,
I want to ask how easy it is to attract investors into the real estate than the investment banking, and how also lucrative it is applying finance in real estate development than the investment banking. And
thank you. Thank you very much. You are denying others of the... Okay, please.
Well, I think that to answer your question, I don't think that you should be... investment banking is a very good industry. I think that it is a very good place to start your career because it exposes you to a number of industries. That's the good thing about it. And then, again, it's one of these areas where once you start your career, it gives you time to really sort of ask yourself, where do I really want to find myself? So you shouldn't be discouraged at all, especially with your finance background. It's certainly, a very good place and industry to start from. How do you, I mean, in terms of attracting investors, depending on where you find yourself, I think, investors are, attracted to, it's all about how you present the opportunity. It's not necessarily the industry per se. Investors just want to put their money into a project or an investment and make a return. Of course, there are some people who have specific interests or requirements in certain sectors. But irrespective of where you find yourself, my advice, particularly to you, will be, because I've been in that industry before, when I used to work in private equity, we always said we invested in the individual. So it's not really about, the numbers you put out there. It's how you present yourself, how committed you are to the project. Because the person wants to know that if I'm putting money, it's almost like placing a bet on you. I want to be sure that this is the sort of person who can look after that money. It's the sort of person who will see, the investment through, and it is not something that you're planning to do for the next 2 years and move on to something else. So there are various ways of attracting investors.
Right. My name is Sadat Yakubu. I'm sure you have a lot of competitors in Ghana. So what I want to know is that what is your competitive advantage? Or what is it that you do that the other competitors cannot do or do not do?
Thank you.
The good thing about Apollonia City, it's part of a mother company or a group of companies. Our parent is Rendeavour. Rendeavour is a multinational. Rendeavour has, we have projects in 5 African countries and 7 projects across the various jurisdictions. Rendeavour is led by, a very astute businessman called Stephen Jennings, who understands Africa very well and has put his money into Africa. So, we have the benefit of tapping into experience from group. We have the benefit of working within a framework of certain standards, international standards. But to your question, I mentioned earlier, Apollonia City does not have any direct competitor per se, because we are not a house real estate developer. We're not just building houses. In fact, we provide a platform for other real estate partners or real estate companies to partner with us to develop, within our sites. Again, there are locations, or we have sites specific for shopping centers. So we're looking to attract some of these companies or investors in retail to come to us. So we don't have any direct competitor per se. What sets us apart, as I said, is the fact that we have investors who are very focused, who have a vision, and we're just playing our parts by implementing that vision.
Great. Can I have a lady? The guys have hijacked the microphone. And rightly so, yeah.
Okay, my name is Ikia Bimpoma Frani. In your preparation stage, apart from acquiring knowledge in finance, what other things did you do? Consider.
Can I have the other question again? The next question, please. That's it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm Johnson Ofuri Odru. I'm from the law school. Yes, when you were presenting to us, you said that you didn't get the idea yourself, you bought into the idea. So I was asking, did you have any plan? And also, how did you get finance? Did you did somebody finance your project for you, or how did it come about it?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you. To your first question, I think that, again, as students, the life that we live, every day is preparation, stage for us. One advice that I can give is that I've always sort of interacted and surrounded myself with people who are a lot older than I am. So in as much as, we would go out and, socialize and have drinks, they always imparted knowledge into me. So, and I've always surrounded myself with people who are a lot older than I was. So that's one advice that I can give. In terms of the financing, so as I said, Apollonia is a subsidiary.
Not so much about the old age with wisdom.
Old age with wisdom,
yeah.
Exactly. I agree. Old age with wisdom.
Some old people can be very
So it's important who you surround yourself with, actually. Absolutely. Yeah. And I always make sure, people around me are people that I can learn from. Sure. It's not always about just giving, but when I meet you, I always want to feel that I live by learning something from you or taking something from you. Likewise. In terms of raising finance, as I said, Apollonia is a subsidiary of a parent company called Rendeavour. we have shareholders, largest shareholders from the US. There's another shareholder from New Zealand and Norway, and other minority shareholders. And so, well, we do have funding for the project, which was closed, and we're utilizing that funding to implement the project as we go along.
Right. Okay.
All right. My name is Boy Stephen from the business school. My question is, you just talk about preparing, and did you plan it, or was it inside? Was it part of your plans when you were in the university, or it's just something that came out when you?
Right. Okay.
My name is Paul Grant. My question is, you said with the real estate, your main aim is to reduce the housing deficit. And we all know you guys build your estate for some level of people. So my question is, how are you solving the housing deficit when the people responsible for the deficit can't afford your homes?
I see. Interesting. I thought one of the twins wanted to ask a question. Do you have the microphone? You were in front. I thought you were going to ask the question yourself.
Okay, I'm Baba Fezi from the business school.
Okay.
And with regards to the real estate industry in Apollonia, what are some of the challenges you have faced, and how have you gone around these challenges?
Thank you. So 3.
So I think the first one, how did I prepare? Absolutely. If that was the question. To be honest with you, when I was in school, like most students, I was just, passing through the university, so. But after school, I think I asked myself, and I keep asking myself that question. It's something that it's always good to assess, I asked myself, this is where I am today. Where do I want to be in the next 5 years? And what do I need to do to get there? And so that's a question I asked myself after school. You've just finished school. Where do I want to see myself, and what do I need to do to get there? And then you start preparing yourself for that. Essentially, that is what I did. So it's, again, working hard. I knew that I had to go and have a second degree. And I knew I had to, go into investment banking. So what do I do? Yeah, that's about it. And you just, once you set that path for yourself, it's just a matter of really following it and working hard to get to where you want to get to. What was the second question?
The second bit was about bridging the housing deficit, sure. And the fact that the people who actually need the housing may not be able to afford the houses that you. Some say there are more houses without people and people without houses in this country.
Well, I think that's a very, very good question. Thanks for that. But the good thing about Apollonia is, as I said, we are developing a satellite city on its own, 25,000 units. So we can't have a product or a certain house type for one income group. So the city has been designed for various income groups. If some of you were following, just last week, the president was on our site to launch an affordable housing development, which we're doing together with Ghana Home Loans. And part of the affordability for me is always financing, because it's not just about the price of the unit, but I think the financing is also very important, because that's where, in this country or elsewhere, people are able to take long-term mortgages at very low interest rates and then pay over time. And so, which is why we are partnering with the likes of Ghana Home Loans, who have been in the industry for quite some time now. We are using our clouds and the relationship to try and get some of the interest rates down and to make it easy for our clients to be able to pay, over flexible payment terms over long periods. So yes, there is a housing deficit, and the way we are contributing is to make sure that we come up with products, for various income groups. So for instance, you will have a house which will cost 200 to 300,000 within the same community, and then we are looking at houses that will also cost from $25,000 to $30,000.
I see. When you said 25 to 30,000, I had there was a last question. What was it again?
Challenges.
The challenges that you faced and how.
Yes, so I think I touched on briefly on one of the challenges again is the financing. It's it's not good enough having a product. You need to have people who are able to buy that product. And the key thing is making sure that product is affordable and people can buy it. So financing is one thing that we face as a country. Interest rates are very high. Fortunately, they are beginning to come down now. But I think that there has to be some form of policy, or there has to be, a complete paradigm shift in the way that we look at financing real estate and housing to be able to really solve the crisis that we have. Second challenge, I think it's, again, it's on the complicated land tenure systems that we have, which we turn that challenge, or should I say, we turn that challenge into one of our biggest selling points. But if you've tried buying land in this country, we all know
problems where your land was sold to like 2-3 people. It's about the same time.
Precisely, so we took, a good part of 2 to 3 years to really, go through that phase, make sure we've registered the land, we have title, we've been through all the process. And one of the ways that we did it was to partner with the local community. So not just buy land, but they have equity or they have shares in the project. So in the long term, the community is actually going to benefit.
I see.
Yeah.
Yes, finally.
Okay, my name is Princess.
Okay, yeah.
My name is Princess DeLong. I want to know how the name Apollonia City came about.
Okay, and the last one? Last question.
My name is Abigail, and my question is, how is your relationship with the client? And also, what are your visions for the next 4 years to come? Thank you.
Thank you.
The name Apollonia City actually comes from the community that we acquired the land from. So Apollonia, it's an existing community, very small town, of just about 400 or 500 people. So when we acquired the land, as I said, we partnered with them. We didn't just buy. They are part of the project, so we decided to adopt that name. We thought it was a very nice name. And then we essentially just added the city to it to differentiate us from,
Does it have a meaning?
Well, it comes from, if you speak to the chief of the village, there was an old missionary, a Greek missionary who came, this is early 1900s, and then named, but it's from Apollo.
Apollo.
Yeah.
I hope it's not a disease.
No, it's not the Apollo disease, but in Greek methodology, I think Apollo was one of the Greek gods, a goddess of light or something.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. Yes. So 4 years.
4 years. Now, our vision, as I said, and I like it when I always interact with students because, you are the future. And it's good that at least you are keen into Apollonia now, because Apollonia is the future. Apollonia is certainly, a new way of doing things in Ghana. It's every square inch of land within the city has been master planned.
Right.
So, when you are buying a house, you know very well that in the next 10 to 20 years, nobody is coming to put a kiosk or a church right next to that house. So certainly the values are going to go up. And so this is a good time to, for all of you to start keying into it and buying into the future.
30 seconds. That final word to them. Just one word.
I think preparation is key. Most people, I've been very lucky in my career. But again, if I wasn't prepared, and I don't think that the opportunities that have come my way, I would have been able to, step into that role. Again, when you're reading my profile, up until last year, I was the Chief Financial Officer. Previous CEO moved on. I was asked to step in simply because, the shareholders had confidence in me and they knew I could do the job. So preparation is key.
Preparation is key. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together once more. Let's appreciate our captain for this month, Mr. Bright Owusu-Amofa, CEO, Apollonia City. Amazing. Thank you so much for spending some time with us and with this very vibrant students from the Gimpa Business School. Such an amazing audience. Please put your hands together for yourselves. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. We're live on Facebook as well. We're live on YouTube, so it's a global platform all across the world. And we thank the very many of you. We told over 700 people were watching us on Facebook and close to about 1,000 people on YouTube as well. This is amazing. So thank you guys for being part of this. We're very grateful on behalf of the rest of the team. Thank you for making some time with us here on Time with the Captains. My name is Alfred Akansik. Join us again sometime next month, and it's bye-bye for now. Thank you. think this is